changed this year. We had the longest match, we had the craziness, now we have the wildcard match, a best of 3 in SKT and KSV. Our first game on patch 8.6 as well. So much has changed, Achilles. We don't know how much has changed for this series, as SKT not interested in any Vel'Koz shenanigans.
Yeah, just gonna ban that one away, not giving Crown the opportunity to even look at that one. They'll answer with the Azir, as that's typically the matchup they like to go ahead and take that one into, and the Camille will also be off the table for QV.
It was interesting to hear QV talk about small champion pool for someone like Tal. QV has had an effective champion pool, much smaller than other top laners, dominated by his Camille play recently. He's a great Camille player. Gnar is the other big pick for him. I imagine both of them will be in consideration here, but on 8.6, Conqueror is in the meta. Rageblade has been changed, the Jhin priority is up. A lot has changed, and SKT says, what about your comfort? It's gone. As the comfort picks for QV and Crown are largely answered, it draws a last ban on the Swain. Now, usually Olaf is what we talk about here as a first pick, but Jungle Trundle has been played in the LCK.
Oh,
and a first
there we
pick
go.
on Kai'Sa.
All right, heavy priority, the first one.
This is a
that we're gonna
surprise,
see
Achilles.
locked in.
Now, Bang is rank 1 in Challenger right now, has been playing the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa build will be very interesting to see, as Ruler and Bang have had disagreements on the best build. It's also surprising priority, because Kai'Sa was enabled in Challenger's career and hasn't been picked. It went through pick and bans, so this is a surprise. I watched the Griffin series, didn't see any Kai'Sa. We see it first picked in this game. And KSV answer with Caitlyn, which for EU fans would be very normal. But in the LCK, we've only seen one game from Ruler on the Caitlyn. It was a loss. He did not look impressive on it. It's going to have to be thick and fast, and we're seeing a lot of 8.6 instantly locked in.
That we are. Galio very swiftly picked up here for Faker, so maximum comfort. A hover over the Nidalee. But that would be a bit of a reach, and that's going to be the Trundle coming through. Could always be flexed to the top lane, but as you were saying, has been rising in popularity in the jungle.
And this is a really interesting point to make, because my first thought is Jungle Trundle, because that is what has been seen as an answering pick into the Olaf. It'd be our first Jungle Trundle in forever. In fact, Cloud Templar, one of the Korean casters, might have been the last player in the LCK, then Champions, to play Jungle Trundle. But we have Tal on the team. Tuhal is the correct pronunciation. Yep. It means to lock in Trundle. He's 2-0 on the Trundle, so it's a true Trundle flex pick because of what has happened in other regions bleeding over to the LCK playoffs.
Well, yet again, maximum comfort here for Crown as he just retreats back onto the Karma. A very consistent pick for him.
Always an outside chance of that being a support Karma, so we'll talk about the flex picks here. It would be an intense pushing lane, and Kai'Sa's wave clear in the early game is nothing to write home about. So it could be CoreJJ returning to the range supports as well. Speaking of range supports, SKT says, well, that's probably going to be Crown as they ban away the Morgana support. CoreJJ has played almost 20 games of support Morgana recently. Again, a big pick in other regions. I feel like there's been a lot of time for these players to look around, see what's happening in other regions, and try to bust it out in the LCK, because we're seeing innovation on patch 8.6.
Innovation, experimentation, whatever you want to call it. It certainly is spilling forth here, which just gives me that much more hope for the rest of this playoff run as we continue down the gauntlet and see what the other teams have been focusing on as well. But final ban following up on that rise will be Tahm Kench taken away by SKT, and a Gangplank locked in for KSV out of the top lane.
Expecting there to be tank top laner, but Cassio top is a big pick for Tal. This is going to be a Cassiopeia top lane into the Gangplank to try to target him down. So Jungle Trundle for the first time in a long time. The Alistair is what Effort brings back, talked about it in the Trash Talk. A lot of new stuff on SKT, and then the Galio that was the defining pick for Faker in Worlds last year. Go to KSV. They can choose to just run the Karma mid like we originally assumed. CoreJJ jumps onto Ultra Comfort. To me, the jungle matchup is the big one to talk about here. Trundle is seen as a counter pick. It has a lot of options against the Olaf at level 3, also at level 6. Ambition is also on the Olaf and usually is a defensive jungler. And if you're just power farming with the Olaf, you might clear a lot of camps, but you don't get the same sort of value. KSV have a momentum-based draft around the Caitlyn wave clear, and also the Karma being able to buff up the Caitlyn. This worked the first time for KSV, and then fell away a couple of times in a row, these Karma mid lane drafts. They do have some late game insurance in the Gangplank, But if you see Blank getting ahead in this game, and that's a big if, only Zac has been what he's performed on, but if Blank can make it work on the Trundle that both these junglers have been practicing, SKT have a very strong draft.
Plenty of opportunities for skirmishing between the Olaf and the Trundle. Nate Sustain built into the kits. We'll see if these guys are going to be invading on each other, if they're going to play super safe here in game number 1. That's definitely the matchup that is probably the most important going on here in this game, but got to give it over to the Kai'Sa. Really excited to see Bang on this.
There's just so much 8.6 in this draft. These teams are not going for what worked on 8.5. They are innovating quickly. They are taking their solo queue that everyone's been playing a lot and bringing in. Kai'Sa is first picked by SKT. I'm happy I've been playing Achilles. There's a lot to unwrap here. And we also have the undying hype of it being a best of 3, an elimination match, and a World Finals rematch.
Exactly that. You already mentioned it, the innovation being quick. That is what is going to matter here in this best of 3. Loser is out of the playoffs. Winner goes on to face KT in a best of 5. Let's go ahead, kick this thing off in style. Game number 1, SKT versus KSV.
생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift yet again. Casio top for Tal.
Oh yeah, it's a tilter right there, as we all know.
I haven't cast a cast top in a while.
Fly high SKT T1, and of course the fans have come out in droves. Kilios, the tickets sold out in basically the blink of an eye. Less than 1 minute to sell out almost the entire playoffs. A lot of people frustrated, asking about those tickets. They're all gone, sadly. Not everyone in attendance just yet. It's early here in Korea, but the people will get here for at least game number 2. They'll need to, as the last 4 of the wildcard matches have been X Team beating Afrika Freaks 2-0. Afrika happily will get their first best of 5. But let's talk about KSV's history in Korea, because people remember, this is Samsung Galaxy. These are the world champions. The other storyline was, in playoffs, they have never won a game. They've never won a series. They have always struggled in the best of 5 phase. Now they find themselves in the best of 3. And let's see how they do that.
Unless it's the regional qualifier, in
That's
which case
true.
they excel.
Different type of players.
Different type of pressure as well. And one where they're usually shutting down KT, not SK Telecom.
So we will see the Kai'Sa first picked in this game. Not using the sick pink chroma that is endemic of a different game. Going for a different chroma here is Bang. The build is very interesting. The first build that rose to prominence was from Deft, which was Essence Reaver into situational item, usually the Phantom Dancer, the Rapid Fire Cannon, one of the Zeal items, and then Infinity Edge, so a pretty traditional build. The new build that's seeing a lot of prominence, I actually tried to ask a few pro players where this build came from. Some people said Korean solo queue, some people said NA solo queue, is the Death's Dance build that Ruler has been preferring in solo queue. Death's Dance as a first item into the newly changed Rageblade, buffed in some ways, changed Rageblade into National's Tooth for all 3 evolves at 3 items. And while it doesn't sound like a traditional damage build, it does insane damage as well at Kilios. So I think Essence Reaver is what Bang has been preferring, so we'll wait and see what he decides. But Rageblade synergy is pretty big on the Kai'Sa as well, so that's going to be a fun one to track.
Well, it's going to be slow and steady as she goes to start things off. Crown trying to poke down Faker, but with the Galio, he's not going to be taking nearly enough damage to force him out of that lane.
Now, we should mention again, Caitlyn comes in, not being a big pick in Korea. None of the bot laners here have been able to find much
Especially
value.
not for Ruler.
Not for Ruler. 0-1. He played it in one of the most recent series. Didn't seem to have the hang of it. Obviously, he's played it before, but when it comes to playing it once again in the current meta and the matchups that you're so practiced on, the Varus, for example, from Ruler, Caitlyn's a different thing. Big range advantage over the Kai'Sa. You would consider this to be a winning lane for the Caitlyn, but for now, lane control's pretty heavy on the side of SKT, despite there being a huge range discrepancy. And if you're not getting through laning phase with turret damage in a range advantage Caitlyn lane, you're not having a good time when it comes to the macro required for KSV to take over the mid game.
Yeah, already. Push going in underneath that turret with Bang inching out ahead as far as CS is concerned. Faker gonna flash away from that tether, so good pressure coming out of Crown here. Heard from him in that interview. Faker said, as long as I don't make a mistake, I should beat him. Getting forced out of lane that early and losing your flash. A minor one, but still a mistake.
lot of things to talk about in this series. You talked about how in the regular season it was SKT 4-0 over KSV, and a lot of people come in today expecting SKT to win. But there's some other really interesting stats to talk about that we may have to hold the point, as Cassio's going to have to deal with an Olaf.
Oh yeah, he's going to be zipping his way in. Axe not going to connect, and Tall is going to be perfectly fine to stick around.
We have 5 teams in the playoffs in Korea, so we're just looking over the runes. You do see Presence of Mind, which is a pretty big one. This could be indicative of the Death Stance build being opted into to try to circumvent some of the mana cost restrictions you'll have. You don't go for Essence Reaver, but again, it's very much experimental.
Tall, he's flashing in for it.
Optimistic.
They will stay alive at the end of the day, but flash down for him. Orange helps keep him up.
It's a really good matchup for Cassio. If it's pure 1v1, didn't have to use his flash. When Olaf came in, he's able to just do standing damage that QV has no way to respond to.
But Pulverize in here, looking for Ruler. He'll jump away with the 90 caliber net. Trap not going to catch. Effort there at the end of the day. Just looking to trade up, but takes a bit of damage, but he's got the sustain there as the Alistar, so he'll be fine.
Caitlyn's so much on the back foot in this game. Was no Varus ban, remember. Could have been the Varus. Varus changed a bit with the build paths changing his bot lane.
Ambition comes over the wall, headbutt there from Effort, flashes away from the Q. They'll flash in just to start up the concussive blows. They will get the lockdown, and First Blood goes over to Crown. Stopping by just to say thank you very much. Takes that for himself with the Mantra Q.
And that's something that Effort's been guilty of a few times this season, both at the start of the season when he was the starter and also back into the roster. He has gone on those vision walks alone and been caught. Does it on Tom Kench a lot of the time. This time on the Alistar. Be down in Summoners. It could also mean lane control for all the core JJ and the bot side. First Blood of the postseason goes the way of KSV.
Oh, petrifying gaze there.
QV's
QV does not have the flash. He's just going to die. Tall very swiftly returns here. Puts a kill on the board for SK Telecom, trying to nullify that First Blood for KSV.
Second game on the Cassio, looking a lot better than the first time, which was a loss in that series against BBQ. Wasn't a blind pick this time, and it's a really good matchup into the Gangplank, who just can't take standing damage trades. None of his builds will help him in the 1v1 either. Are you going to delay your Trinity Force for a more Malmortius or even a Hex Drinker?
Hex Drinker, yeah.
Sounds awful if it comes to the actual ability to play out the team fighting phase as the Gangplank, so might have gone into Resolve Tree. Maybe no Klepto on the Gangplank, but there's not going to be any lane control either. And that's why they need bot lane to actually hold the Kai'Sa accountable. Because if they're getting pushed in top and bot, and Galio starts roaming, it could just be curtains for the side of KSV.
Yeah. I mean, Hero's entrance coming through with the Killer Instinct as well. Suddenly, everybody's on top of you and you're just dead.
Sorry,
QV trying to recover from this is going to be pretty brutal. He's already down by 600. Taunt not going to connect there as Faker gets rooted down and Crown will flash away.
Bang was shown on a River Ward there, coming through from, I believe, Crown. Could have been Ambition as well.
Yeah, just thrown down there into the pit.
Just a small thing to talk about when it comes to form against top 5, because SKT 4-0 over KSV definitely puts them in good standing for this series. SKT against Afrika, Kingzone, and KT, the other 3 teams in the playoffs, are 2-12 this season. 2 game wins and 12 game losses. They have not been able to be competitive against 3 out of the 4 teams in the top. You look at KSV, again, 0-4 against SKT, not good reading. KSV against Afrika, Kingzone, and KT are 7-8. They're almost 50% win rate against some of the best teams, including Kingzone, in this league. So while SKT are very well set up for this series, KSV actually have the better record against top 5. What part of that history matters, what part doesn't matter, we'll get to revisit, but it's fun to see that this has been the one matchup that SKT has looked really strong in.
Blank just going to go ahead, clear out the control. We'll revisit this Ocean Drake. We saw him start it up once, but the roam from core JJ forced him back. See if he wants to go for it again. For now, will not be doing so. He's just going to path back in, pick up that red buff, and QV is not having a good time. Down by 21 CS already here in the top lane as he tries to get some minions back here by using the barrels.
See a BF sword first on the Kai'Sa. Seems like it's probably going to be the Essence Reaver build going to be coming out in this game. Whatever build you go with the Kai'Sa, you can do a lot of assassination. You know, her ultimate is not a damage ultimate, it's a gap close ultimate.
Yep. Gap closing here. Blank trying to throw down that pillar, so Effort can get in range, but just can't do it. So members of KSV will be able to exit with their summoners still up.
Game plan here is going to be very interesting to track from SKT because Cassio, she wants to stay in a short lane as long as possible, just kill Gangplank over and over. The Kai'Sa, when turrets are down, has a lot of assassination potential with the Galio. Might actually be a conduit for the hero's entrance, which we never talk about, with an AD carry being the one you use the hero's entrance on aggressively, but could happen here. But then if you have long lanes, it's also a great time for Ambition to start ganking. So there could be a lot of playmaking when the turrets initially go down. KSV with the Caitlyn comp desperately want to pick up the first turret and rotate.
Oh, that's another
As
petrifying gaze thrown down. Miasma comes through and Cube is just dead. Nothing to do. Sheen will get completed, but that's not going to help him when it comes down to stopping this damage output from the Cassiopeia. He falls yet again. Tal is just so far ahead.
He hasn't even needed the flash that time as bot lane, seeing an attempt at an all-in. I think this is going to be turned around.
Really nice Glacial Fissure there from Core JJ. Does keep himself safe, and they actually trade back onto effort quite nicely. But this is a game being won out of the top lane right now for SK Telecom.
And it feels like this was unscouted by KSV, but they should know that Tal is a top lane. Cassiopeia plays it a lot in solo queue. He may have lost on it in his one game that he's played on the big stage, but Tal does pick for lane. He's happy to go Trundle into tanks. He will go Cassio into a GP. They go for the blind gangplank, which is a takeaway from Tal. He's 6-1 on the pick. It's been his most winning champion. But we know he has reverse matchups as well. And compared to when he started the season, coming off European challenger scene play into SKT, sure, he was nervous. Those nerves are going down. And you're seeing it here in a very nice performance in the 1v1.
And already just going to get chunked down to half HP. Can barely trade anything back with the parlay. He is down by 40 CS, 39 now as he starts picking some up, but very massive loss of gold on that GP, not having the Kleptomancy. Ambition going to go ahead and start picking up the Rift Herald as he sees that Ocean Drake go over to SK Telecom. Should be able to get that and maybe try to transition into that first brick, targeting out that turret in the top lane to deny the short lane away from Tal. Would be a decent way to give KSV some leg room here, I suppose.
Going for a walk, trying to see what's going on, but doesn't actually ward into the Rift Herald. Doesn't want to fully commit onto it anyway, wants to push in the minion wave against Karma. Vision will smite it away, picks up the Rift Herald buff. Wasn't in vision of SKT, but again, they would have inferred it. The control ward had been put down just by Faker momentarily ago. The thing to remember here is that because of the matchup, I feel like the one way still to try to exploit SKT is to target Blank, is try to be really aggressive around him in the early game. That's just not Ambition. It might be the Olaf, but it's not Ambition style. And the Trundle answers Olaf in a lot of the level 3 and early trades. So he's disincentivized in a couple of ways, both natural play style and the matchup to be aggressive. And while Blank has done nothing, he's farmed up, he's picked up a Ocean Drake, it hasn't been at the cost of SKT compared to other jungle matchups. Well, that can be something to be held against the SKT jungler.
Yeah. Ahead now by 1,000 gold. You can see even Tal here with the Cassiopeia has done quite a bit of damage here onto this turret with the help of those minions. KSV looking to get those concussive blows procced against effort to lock him down. Maybe try to force out the ultimate, but won't be able to do so.
No all-ins when you're working on your Essence Reaver. Already has the gold for it, 200 gold after these 3 items complete, but all about the back timings here in bot lane. Crown has gone the earliest power spike build with the Athenes, so he's trying to have as much utility as early as possible. Ardent Sensor being worked on second. No Archangels in this particular game. Small nerf, but still going to be a very popular choice for a lot of our control mid laners.
It's a 20 to 15% on the shield now.
Which means just a little bit less of a payoff when the Seraphs is complete. The top lane payoff came really early, as Tal already has 2 solo kills on Cuvée. Cuvée kind of has to ult turret most of the time. He's almost lost the turret solo as well. No jungle intervention from either side.
I think he's just going to give this one up. Hasn't used the ultimate, and now Tal maybe pushing forward, throws down the ultimate. Perhaps try to trade something back. Petrifying Gaze doesn't connect. He takes a lot of damage, but Blank is here.
They don't know where Olaf is, so they don't want to go, and they see the Predator mark, so they think better of it. Galio hadn't been able to push mid lane, so wasn't there with the hero's entrance. They already got the objective, so why greed for a 3rd kill? No need to do that. The Cassio pick pays off dividends. Not often you see a counter pick on blue's side. Gets so much value in the top lane, but KSV went for the gangplank takeaway. And Cassio's trying to take away the game from KSV purely from the 1v1.
It's been a pretty good look so far, you'd have to say.
Teamfights here are so messy from the side of SKT, though. They're not really about the team fight. They can pull it off that way, but at the end of the day, largely going to be about the dive, and the only conduit for Hero's entrance outside of, situationally, the Kai'Sa will be the Alistar in most cases. I imagine we'll see Blank go for the Xerxes special and go for a Zeke's Convergence second as Trundle. Sort of thing I never considered, but it's a really cool idea, is that we only see Zeke's Convergence rush, in the LCK at least, from the Rakan, because you press R to initiate, and that's when the fight happens, and that's when you get the 50% damage app. Well, guess what? When Trundle ults the Olaf, whoever's in the front line, that's a good time to start a fight also. So it is also great use of the Zeke's Convergence. We saw it on Skarner as well from Yankos in the EULCS semifinals. So I think more Zeke's Convergence is likely to be seen in the LCK. See a little bit of head-to-head here. It's still 2 minutes till Cloud Drake spawns, but the Vision mission happening very early on bot side.
Yeah, both sides just posturing around, clearing out these control wards as best as they can, so it will just be a trade of Vision at the end of the day.
What we doing with that Rift Herald ambition? He's bot lane. He really wants to get the Caitlyn
Yeah,
going.
he's going to have to go ahead and channel that. It was almost expiring, so we'll pop this one. And now Kive, under threat of losing that tier 2. Like, going to take a bit of damage there from Crown.
At the end of the day, the tier 2 is not that important. It's more gold, but really KSV need to double down around Caitlyn, because she's going for a build that says, I want to push. That's exactly what Shiv into the BF sword is. Static Shiv was nerfed on this patch for less wave clear, but it's still Caitlyn. She has great wave clear. She very much wants to go to short lanes and push them down, whereas on the side of SKT, their AD carry functions best in skirmishes and also assassination. She wants to avoid that scenario wherever possible. While the charge doesn't actually get the turret down, we'll see if Ruler and Core JJ can return and get this turret soon. Not if Blank has anything to do with it.
Well, a bit of damage, all that they're going to find off the backside of the Rift Herald. No real commitment to taking that down available here for KSV. Don't want to go too crazy. First brick's already been taken off the table by SK Telecom as they stretch ahead by 2,500 gold.
So difficult for KSV to win team fights in this game, because whoever walks up, it's going to be a pseudo tank. I guess it's going to be Olaf or the Braum. And if you ult Olaf before he ults, he actually goes close to negative resists because of how the Trundle ultimate works. And that's painful, Achilles. You just die because you pillar behind him. Doesn't matter if he has Ragnarok, he's just dead. Yep. Same thing will happen with Braum. So true 5v5 team fights are almost impossible unless they have a massive gold lead, which is looking very unlikely as we crest 17 minutes and they're behind in gold. It's an objective-focused comp. 2 support items insanely early on the mid laner. Means they want to fight around 2-item Caitlyn. But can they get the fights they want when Gangplank is under his inner turret very early in the game, when vision control is there with SKT? Your first thought is no.
And Ruler, you would have to expect, if he gets hit by that petrifying gaze, he is just gone in this fight. No escapes, really, other than the 90 caliber net, and multiple ways for people to jump on him. So if he gets caught out by that, even with a QSS, I expect the Caitlyn is probably just dead. Second Dragon now going over here to SKT as Blank jukes out on that Q. Will not get slowed down, will not get stunned up, and he'll just be able to exit. So KSV, late to the party, lose out on another map objective.
Again, no 8.6 competitive data points. There was some 8.5 Kai'Sa in the LPL. We'll hold the point for now.
And Taunt coming down there onto Ambition. Pops a Ragnarok, but the pillar interrupts him. He'll just go ahead and run away. For now, coming around the side, gonna get spotted. Good check there from Ambition with the axe.
First 8.6 Kai'Sa in competitive outside of Challenger. We'll notice already enough AD for the Acathian Rain evolve, the Q evolve for even more burst damage on single targets and also helpful in wave clear as well. So 100 AD between the Essence Reaver and the Pickaxe. See what the second item is. Some people go Rageblade here because you can proc your W, and when it comes to your passive also, your passive procs very fast with the Phantom hit when you get these 6 stacks of the Rageblade. Other people will just go straight into a Zeal item. We'll wait and see as blue buff is stolen away by Bang of all people.
Takes that one for himself. So, gonna be extra safe with the mana on top of the Essence Reaver there, so going is no longer going to be a concern.
And Presence of Mind has not been changed on patch 8.6, so you get first kill, and then of course, very likely that if a team fight extends, you're going to have very, very high amount of mana in a team fight. No sign of Conqueror just yet. Just looking over the runes, everything pretty standard. The phase rush to not be kited by the barrels and also to get your own speed up as the Cassio. But 2 items now on Caitlyn. The question is, what do you do with it if you're KSV? You can't really roll up because you don't have aggressive vision anywhere on the map. You've been frustrated at trying to take the bot lane turret. We've already outlined that no one is a real frontliner if the Trundle is there. Plus you have the on-fire situation in the top lane. It's basically a meme right now, how far behind and how little control QV has. It's not going to be Flame Horizon just yet, but his turret is already below 50% HP. He's not got any help from his jungler because there's a looming chance of a 1v2, so at the end of the day, the Gangplank is on an island, and they want to play anywhere where the Gangplank isn't, ult, and hope they can win the 4v4, as they might turn onto Baron at 20 minutes. Remember, Cassio is traditionally a super high Baron damage dealer.
Yeah, she is just going to go ahead and rip this one apart. Even without a Mountain Drake, Blank will have enough sustain.
KSV don't know about it yet.
Juve is hovering around the area, but he's going to be distracted by that control ward.
Okay,
they're
they think
now
about it
sniffing
now.
this one out. Tull's down to half HP. They're going to spot this. The Miasma will stop them from pushing forward. And SKT will peel back, but you can see they're willing to make these massive, risky calls.
Credit to KSV,
in order to get ahead.
They did their problem solving. They say, who is missing? Where can we see enemies? It's 20 minutes. Okay, Baron is spawned. How fast can they do it? Decently fast. It takes them about 12 seconds to move towards the Baron pit. It was going to take about 25 seconds to take down. At the end of the day, you need to problem solve. You have incomplete information, even if it looks clear, when we have the map hacks as spectators. They're able to respond. The Baron could have ended the game in many ways, but no Baron buff for SKT off spawn.
SKT, however, will go ahead and take down this turret. Poor QV. Whatever lane he goes to, the turret just dies, it would seem. As Ruler and Core JJ have been rotated up towards that top side, so Bang just going to go ahead and get a second one for SK Telecom as they keep pushing forward with the gold lead. Hasn't been a massive snowball lead that they've been building up rapidly, but is steadily increasing.
And it's not, it is Rageblade second, so it's not going to be a Zeal item. You're not looking for your CDR and the full value out of the Essence Reaver in this build. It's a lot about mana regen, getting the Q active, and then also being able to abuse the new Rageblade. Rageblade was buffed in some ways and nerfed in other ways. No longer as good a first item on Kog'Maw and Varus. Insane on Jhin. Guys, Jhin is, with 4th item, Rageblade. Insane on this patch with how it's calculated. I believe that'll be changed on 8.7, but it's live on 8.6. But also in many ways, it builds better. It hasn't been relevant in this game. But before, you built a recurve bow, a pickaxe, and you felt really bad about the blasting wand and the recipe together costing a lot of gold. It was 1725 gold usually sat on to complete it. Now it's an Amp Tome and 690 gold. It's actually only 1125 gold, so 600 less gold you're sitting on is a big indirect buff to some of the best abusers of the on-hit being applied twice passive, the Devourer effect. And Kai'Sa's another one of those because how her passive interacts means a lot of missing health damage to a single target. So single target burst is what this Kai'Sa has. She's basically an assassin in AD Carry's clothing.
Baron just being postured around here by both teams as they try to get some vision control. KSV will be able to move in at the end as Faker's going to get locked down, pops the taunt just to try to draw a crown in. Maybe to get a turret shot and have effort set up for that headbutt pulverize, but not going to be found. KSV do get some room to breathe as they push into that upper side of the river. Get some vision laid down, something that has been lacking severely on that side of the map for quite some time.
Weirdly, the best news story for KSV is that SKT's Baron duo in many ways is Cassiopeia and Kai'Sa, and they can't be in the same spot because Cassiopeia is best used busting the Gangplank in the bot lane and having the teleport. So amusingly, it's going to be hard to group their insane Baron damage threats together. Means while their Baron threat is decent, it's not quite as big as the Cassiopeia. Here we go.
Or JJ gonna get jumped on. Now effort trying to kite his way back. They're not gonna get rooted down, and Ambition has to flash to the other side of that pillar. Beautifully placed by Blank does cost them that, so KSV will be able to exit. No kills going over to either side. Flashes down from the support and from the jungler respectively.
Very refreshing to see Olaf look vulnerable, but that's what Trundle can do with the pillar. Used to be the Ghost Olaf being countered by the Jarvan Cataclysm days. Now that we have Flash Olaf, Trundle is the most reliable way. Stop getting any value out of that ultimate. Has to flash away. No terrain gain on either side. Cassio goes back bot lane, and we regroup again, Achilles.
keep doing it over and over again until somebody dies or until a Baron goes down. KSV in the meantime looking to get their first dragon of the game. Ocean, another one coming through.
Be nice to pick up something. They've really got only a kill to their names. As Tal says, maybe not.
He's just going to push over the side here. QV yet again going down very low. Ambition able to finish that one up, but QV has to flash away at the end of the day, and now Ambition's in a bad spot. Remember, his flash is down. The pillar comes through, and that's going to be a kill going over to Bang. Effort will get locked in. He takes a massive amount. The heal comes through, but Ruler manages to claim him in the end with the help of that red buff.
Faker.
Another one picked up. Faker coming around the back.
Misses.
Flashes in, but not going to be finding anything. And now he's too far forward, blocked off by that Justice Punch. Miasma comes down and he goes golden. KSV takes so much damage there on the core JJ, who can't really frontline any longer, but Faker, he's still in here. He's going to go down.
Didn't have an escape plan, tried to go 1-for-1, can't do it. Takes a long time to kill the Galio in the reverse situation we already said. Trundle ults the first target, they die. Not the same busting power here as we see the fight go on. This Crown is grouped.
Flank getting worked down. Q from the Braum, not going to connect, and KSV maybe can get a little bit of damage in onto this turret. All takes a hit. Crown goes low, but the hits are coming through from the Caitlyn. Ace in the hole will be blocked by Bang, and now QB is too far forward. Headbutt pulverize takes him down as Bang claims another.
You can tell what happens when 25 minutes of inaction are followed by some action. Everyone gets a little bit over the top. A couple of people go down in unsociable fashion. First it's Faker, who will be alive with teleport in 5 seconds and the hero's entrance. So SKT start to posture around Baron. Trying to get the surprise there. QV can understand his frustration of being in the Cassio lane for the entire game. Gives away another kill, doesn't do himself any level of benefit. At the start of that fight, we saw a preview of the sort of assassination available to the side of the Kai'Sa. Insane in the 1v1. She doesn't have to worry about her own safety. We'll definitely see plenty of that on patch 8.6.
KSV immediately shoving back out here. Multiple members trying to regain control of the vision around Baron. Vision will go ahead and get the control ward inside the pit. Core JJ feeling safe enough to push forward here for the moment, but now that he sees effort, we'll just have to leave that one standing. And they also get the Scuttle Crab, so some longer standing vision available for KSV around that side. As Tall is just going to steal away a blue buff. The rest of KSV interested in this turret. Effort goes forward, but might have just been to his death. Yes, it is. Reckless Swing comes through and Ambition finds the kill, but SKT are collapsing. Pillar comes through yet again. Miasma catches so many members and they are just going to fall one after the other. A triple kill over to Tall. He will get taken down by Crown in the end, but the damage is done.
The combination of the miasma and just the sheer damage coming through from Hurricane on Bang was intense. Able to get a trade up in kills for the side of SKT, but they lose their Kai'Sa and their Cassio, so they can't turn it into a Baron, which is usually the reward for a fight around 27 minutes.
Yeah, Effort now going to respawn. A 2 for 3 at the end of that one, with Effort already having been killed. So you can see the power that SKT has with this composition, and KSV, they need to learn to play around this, or it's just going to be a whole lot more of that.
They just can't Achilles with the comp they've dropped. That's why I like SKT's draft. We watched the replay. Effort says, I'm low, but I can be the conduit for the hero's entrance to come in. That's out of position. But Bang is feeling it. He goes in with the ultimate, knowing how much damage he can do. The miasma on so many members. They have great follow-up damage, but it's with pretty significant cost as QV is able to actually tussle and the tether from Crown lands. That means no Baron. Also talk about the item build. With Hurricane complete, there is now evolution on both the Supercharge and the Q. So Q and E are now evolved for the side of Bang. Able to, with over 100% attack speed, also in fights, dodge in and out.
Oh,
with
that gold discrepancy there.
It's huge. So the ability to go invisible. But remember that Hurricane bolts also proc the Supercharge, so you basically have close to 100% uptime on a crazy attack speed steroid like the Supercharge on Kai'Sa.
3,500 gold just about there between QV and Tall.
No free gold generation, no free lunches for the Gangplank anymore, and he was so well held in the 1v1 that we can't be surprised.
5-1 and 2 is Tall after that triple kill comes in. So he's looking pretty scary. Seraph's Embrace completed, Void Staff with Azonia's, and the Leandri's Torment. Faker as well is feeling pretty feisty with the Galio, not going to be seeing the Abyssal Mask. He is going for the AP, Zonia's Ludens on top of the fully stacked Rod of Ages, and Sork Boots, just for good measure. So Faker wants to claim some lives.
To me, KSV need to keep playing the maps. They can't opt into 5v5. I feel like in almost every way SKT has their answer. Strondor will make anyone attempting to be a frontliner vulnerable. And guess what? Casio and Kai'Sa will instant kill you, basically, with sheer damage. So there's almost no way to pull off these team fights unless you have a big terrain advantage around the Baron with control wards, or if you're just playing in the open and sieging. That's really the only place I see this happy is there's going to have to be the Ragnarok.
Ragnarok popped. Ambition tries to go back in the trade a little bit back. Barrage comes down. Effort and Bang both low. He tries to flash away, and Effort will make it out here with his life as Faker comes in. With that entrance, will just Justice punch his way to safety. SKT's going to be on the retreat, so KSV able to push forward here for the moment and likely take down this turret in mid. That's their first of the game, 30 minutes in just about.
Need a team being
if
proactive
they can even
there.
finish it off.
But end up being KSV trading up. They're going to get the turret after all. Mid lane turret goes down. KSV and SKT both seem very tenuous around that play, knowing that at 30 minutes the cost can be high. That's the advantage. The one advantage KSV have is if you have one of those fights where the big engage ultimates are on cooldown, the reset for KSV to go mid, Mantra Inspire to movement speed, and auto-attack a turret with traps is much quicker than the hero's entrance coming off cooldown. So the fallback for KSV in Siege is the one area around the game where they can actually get advantages on SKT.
Tall here at the moment. We'll just burn down this Ocean Drake and do so solo with no problem. That'll be the third for SK Telecom, and the last one spawned before we see the Elder pop his head out. So set up nicely for that one is SK Telecom, because you think about the true damage coming through off the back of this Kai'Sa and this Cassiopeia, and it just sounds disgusting. KSV will have to fight tooth and nail to stop that once the Elder enters the rift.
I see the outbuild coming through from Galio. It's gone for the Ludens. First time we've seen Ludens Galio in the LCK, so 20% CDR there. Most Galios go Transcendence for another 10%. Depending on the rune page they use, there is Sorcery second here for Faker, who went Aftershock for the early resists. But high CDR for the hero's entrance returns. Again, Kai'Sa, really good in skirmish. 1v1, 2v2. In 5v5s, if your tank line is stronger, which I believe it is, very strong. In sieging, well, that's the one area she's not really set up for, even with the range buff, 525 range. Nothing massive, so for now, SKT unable to break the mid lane turret. That's delayed their game plan as they want to play around Baron, peel, put down a pillar, and kill the first map.
Shout out to Tal, who did get that Flame Horizon at the end of the day. Has had it for a little while now. Blank throws down the pillar. So members of KSV going to be slowed up. The Blank already takes a bit of damage there, and the shields will just help KSV eject themselves from the fight.
Mantra on cooldown for about another 10 seconds, so something to return to, but SKT, it's all about posturing. One control ward at their entrance, one in the river for KSV. No forward vision for either team, though. Makes them so tenuous in these 5v5s.
Another pillar down. Faker goes over. He catches multiple members with the taunt. Core JJ throws out the Glacial Fisher. Only gets a pop there. On to Effort, and now Tal comes around from the side. Takes a big chunk of damage from Ruler, who trades it back. Tries to keep them out of the fight, and nobody's going to die yet. KSV push forward yet again, poking out. With the Qs from the Caitlyn, with the axes, Faker goes forward, but he might just be punished for it. Has the Zonias, keeps himself alive, and Ambition is there, and he takes him down with a reckless swing.
So good at kiting out. They're really using the Inspire so well here at KSV. They're going to turn on to Baron from this, you'd have to think. They're able to disengage. All flashes are used, but then SKT goes back in without actually being in right formation. So all summoners being down on both sides, basically, is turned around, and KSV should get Baron.
Yeah, the shields will go ahead, keep Ambition in the fight. He can sustain off the swings from the W.
5,000 health from the Baron.
Coming through, Tull getting ready to rejoin, and KSV has peeled off. They get the lockdown there on the Blank. Bang, firing off, gets most of that damage blocked there by Core JJ with the Unbreakable, but he is still dangerously low, and now SKT, maybe just looking for this mid-turret. KSV is trying to find their way in.
Pillar stops them from getting there, gets in the mid lane
turret.
turret.
Effort goes forward, but can't find anything. The Ragnarok pop perfectly timed. But Bang goes over with the R. The Killer Instinct helps take him down, but maybe he's overextended. He has. Ruler punishes him.
We have Lee Syndrome. There's some Kai'Sa Syndrome too. If you take that R, you're never sure exactly where the fallback will be. He swaps his life for the enemy jungler. Not worth it as an AD carry, even if the Smite and Cassiopeia is on the Rift. It's our first game of Kai'Sa in the LCK. There's plenty of bugs to be worked out, both in terms of build path and in terms of approach. But SKT, they're just going to go to Baron anyway because they saw the full reset from KSV.
They are going to hard commit to this one. The TP now coming through onto the backside. Cube getting ready
They're
to
just gonna
arrive.
get it.
No barrage available. He's going to have to try to seal this one out, but the miasma comes through, and SKT will be able to get the Baron, but can they make it out with their lives? Hiding up towards the top side of the map where they still do have that turret, but KSV is hot on their heels.
They're going to engage this.
Tall going to get locked down. Petrifying Gaze comes through. He finds one. Will be crowned going down. The redemption not fast enough. They deny one buff, and that's going to be it.
Both these teams have made some pretty big calls, some wrong calls, some right calls. At the end of the day, both these teams are 9-9, 0 game score. Neither of these teams have been dominant, but we're seeing the in-the-moment calls actually separating the teams. You lose your AD carry, you remember, wait, we have Cassio, and we see the entire enemy team disengage. We do have the ability to rush down the Baron, and that's the correct call from SKT that they wouldn't necessarily have made 3 weeks ago when their fortunes were a lot more lean. Really close stuff here between both teams. Not clean in either way. You do take away one Baron buff here, but a top laner swap for a mid laner is not a big win either way.
So 3 Baron buffs remaining here as Bang had not respawned, so SKT have that to work with. Odd timing on that statement, Papa, because right now they are 9-9 with 0 match score.
That's true. I appreciate that. I always love when a plan comes together. What we've learned about these comps so far, because we're still learning a lot of the analysis around the Kai'Sa in particular, is that KSV do have a very strong fallback if the first target doesn't die. If they have flashes up, Olaf walks in, he gets ulted by Trundle, he flashes away, and then the enemy team, if they've used too many of their ultimates, then Mantra Inspire can just win the game through pure movement speed and the Caitlyn free hitting. SKT, with the right terrain, can delete that first member, then they should win the fights more comfortably. A lot of conditional statements there. All you need to know at home is that these fights are very, very even as we go on. And maybe the Kai'Sa position needs to be a little bit more safe. However, the Death's Dance is complete, not rushed by Bang. He's completed a 4th item, which means now the amount of selfish lifesteal he'll have out of his Q in particular. If you're dueling, if you get a 1v1 as Kai'Sa and have 20% damage reduction and insane physical damage spell vamp in many ways from your Q on a single target, it's almost impossible to lose a 1v1.
SKT now. Baron left for just over a minute as Effort is looking for an engage perhaps. Core JJ going to be caught out. He'll get locked down, throws on the Glacial Fissure. Redemption comes through and takes a little sidestep there with the stand behind me. Barrage has started chunking people down. Blank will have to flash over the wall.
Pillar is down, and also note that the Trundle ultimate is down. Very, very useful to deal with the Olaf. That's on cooldown now. Ambition's flash about 20 seconds away. That's another important thing to remember.
They currently have the inside track on the Elder Dragon as well as control of the vision in the area.
They can do this insanely fast. KSV cannot take any liberties. They check it now.
Burning it down in Effort. He's going on a solo mission around the backside. Secret Agent Alistar finds the gangplank, knocks him down. Killer Instinct immediately there from Bang, and he will scoop up the kill. Elder Dragon still being taken, and Ambition, he's chunked out, has no way of getting in there. SKT will be able to claim this. Only 20 seconds of double buffs stacked on top of each other, but Elder Dragon times 3 equals a lot of true damage here. They can use to just rip apart KSV.
Ignar-esque from Effort. Very nicely done. They don't want to make it a 5v5 where you abuse shields. Find someone alone away from the Karma, and you will have deletion damage from Bang. So well played, and look at how short the cooldown is. We're going to have the Kai'Sa ultimate up again in half a second.
Yep, they can go ahead and just pile over the wall should they want to go for the dive. SKT pushing on multiple fronts here. Tall on the bottom side, Faker in the mid. Just knocking down that inner turret. Top lane still standing. But that's just going to be the only reprieve here for KSV at the moment, as they are in such a bad spot. That Elder Dragon giving that one over to SKT was probably the last line of defense for this team. Well, unless they can pull a miracle out of the nether regions.
Remember, the real last line of defense is putting down traps against a poor siege team. They still have that.
This is true.
It is actually still really tricky for SKT, short of a full-on turret dive, to break the base. So that part is at least going to delay the game further. This one could go long, guys. It is at 40 minutes almost on the clock. And while it seems like SKT have a lot of the better options, I like their 5v5 options. They've shown now if they get the right flank, they can subvert some of the Karma power. All that gets harder to do as you're going into very heavily defensively orientated terrain, like the enemy base, like the enemy inhibitor turrets. I don't think SKT will want to look for the turret dive unless it's the overlapping second Elder Drake and Baron buffs. But with the items as they are, with the Caitlyn at 6 items but so far frustrated when it comes to finding damage, short of another Kai'Sa positioning mistake, it seems like SKT can just overwhelm whoever tries to be a frontliner from KSV, because it's just an Olaf and a Braum. It's nothing to write home about.
Well, 10-9, SKT with a very clear lead. Only 25 seconds left on that Elder Dragon effort. Goes poking forward, says nope, not going to go that way. Does manage to peel back.
Man, Gangplank has fallen on hard times. This guy was ahead of the Bitcoin rush. This guy knew every cryptocurrency, had all the gold. This is post-crash Gangplank. He's come back down to reality, 40 minutes in, 3 items. He's got none of those helpers left anymore.
What am I going to do with all these graphic cards? I bought so many 1080s.
Apparently they're not working out for poor Gangplank in
My
this
life
game.
savings. All of that inheritance money gone. Grandpa, I'm sorry.
Don't often see a 5-item top laner versus a 3-item Gangplank, but that happened in this game.
SKT, Ward's coming down, looking for an entry, and effort might have found it. Pops up to
Taker!
Ambition, gonna go ahead, try to get his way out of there. Finger goes in for the taunt, Justice Punch connects in. Ambition goes low, and he's gonna die.
Watch out!
Finger goes golden, but he'll get taken down, but now Bang is into the back, but he's isolated himself. He finishes off one, he gets all of them! Triple kill, Bang! Are you kidding me? Insane play from him. He manages to stay on top. That's a death dance in action, and now SKT will go straight through the top lane. They'll take the inhibitor, and they're gonna take game number 1.
And that's why you first pick the Kai'Sa, so strong. He's chasing on for another kill. Should be able to get a QV. Will he be chased down?
Tries to make his way in. Effort will get punished, but that's about it. The base crumbling now as SKT explode forth with one final fight. The pillar comes through. Bang gets another one. He debuts to Kai'Sa. They first pick it, and you can see why. SKT, game 1 over KSV.
If you don't keep track of the cooldowns, if he feels it, if he picks the right moment, lock in the death stance, lock in a triple kill for Bang. Really nicely done there by SKT. It was a delayed but good victory. I love the draft. I felt they won this game through the drafting phase, and yet KSV were able to play with their strengths to a point until a pin drops, Kai'Sa gets a triple kill, and the game is just done.
An absolutely explosive finish there for SKT. Now KSV, backs are against the wall. Reminder, this is a best of 3, not a best of 5. KSV has potentially one more chance to put a win on the board, force that game 3. Otherwise, SKT, they're going to the best of 5 stage. They're facing off against KT.
I mean, SKT had the answer key, Achilleos. They had the Cassio into the Gnar. They had the Kai'Sa priority, which seems to have been vindicated. They also had the Trundle into the Olaf. So even on paper, there was a lot to like about SKT. This was a really team engage. After the right score is down, you think, okay, maybe we're fine. Then Galio, and they dive in. But watch the Kai'Sa. Chooses her moment, gets into the backline, exhausted. You don't mind. Even through a redemption, look at how much healing you're able to do when you have the Death's Dance. You understand why other people rush this item. Insane team fighting from Bang gets SKT over the line.
And Bang, rank 1 in Korea, says I can beat anybody, and he is showing it there with that Kai'Sa. A triple to go ahead and finish it out. Absolutely stellar play from him. SKT got to be feeling very good as they get ready to move into game number 2. KSV, on the other hand, they need to recover very quickly. They need to adapt.
And will we see this man in the booth in game 2? Ambition was there at the World Finals. Will it be Haru in game number 2? Backs against the wall for KSV.
Plenty of questions about who's going to be on the roster here for KSV, how their draft is going to differentiate, and what side they're going to be on. We do have dynamic side selection coming through here, but SKT, they start things off with a bang, quite literally, on that Kai'Sa debut. Absolutely wonderful performance from these guys. Was tight-knit to a point, and then the ball just started rolling there for SKT, and they did not stop.
Got to pick your moments as Kai'Sa. We had one down moment for Bang, but the up moment won the game outright, and that is the power of Kai'Sa on patch 8.6.
Yeah, both he and Tall, wonderful there with that Cassiopeia. The return to the top lane was dominating Cube from the get-go and really leading to that victory. That's game number 1 in the books. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, game number 2 to see if SKT just closes out clean.